why is my electric lawnmower not working today? I've had it for a year, it's just, or more, it's just out of warranty, now what? So it's going to come to a point where some of your skills are going to have to improve just to deal with what you have. Because other than that, you're going to be bringing it to somebody, and who is going to try and fix it? Like, who's going to be the guy that starts fixing the electric stuff? And is there even going to be a guy that does that, really? Because how long will it be before that person doesn't get enough work and they sort of outlaw, like California's outlawing all this stuff? It won't be long, a year or two, and just say, you know what, we're not selling them anymore. And then for a time, guys like me will be able to fix them, but after a while, a shop won't be able to operate, right? It makes a difference. And a shop trying to transition into something, if they can't do it effectively, quickly, they're in trouble. And the new Honda engines, I want to look into that a little bit more, because I wanted to talk about on a show coming up, is it's not so much that Honda isn't making mowers anymore, it's why. And nobody talks about why. They think they know, but they don't. It has to do with something called ESG, which is a political thing, and it's not a very nice thing. And by the way, the bank that just went out of business that they're going to keep in business, right? Well, they're an ESG bank, right? And pretty much any of these things that get involved in this stuff, they're a nightmare, all right? They destroy their own businesses. They destroy other businesses. Eventually, they go out of business. Yeah, let's go, Brandon. You know who else is like, Sri Lanka, right? You've heard of Sri Lanka, maybe in the news more recently, where they're eating out of the backs of garbage trucks, and they chased the president out of the country, and they were swimming and peeing in his pool, and like they're starving and everything. A number of years ago, they were not doing well. This is going back a ways, and they started to adopt some better farming practices and things, and before the ESG nonsense, right? They were really good. They had abundance of food, and they were starting to supply food to other areas in the world. And then ESG came along, right? That's environmental, social, and governance. That's not government, it's governance. Governance is how they govern people by applying pressure financially, economically. It's like your social credit score, right? It's like a company has not been hiring enough people of varying degrees of incompetence based upon just their color and where they come from. We don't care if you're competent or not. We're just trying to fill a quota. And the company sucks because instead of hiring people based upon whether or not they can actually do the job, they hire them based upon some other thing. And if you don't toe that line, right, what winds up happening is, A, your company sucks, your customers hate you, and you go out of business. And like in the case of Sri Lanka, you can't get loans. You can't get the things that you need. Yes, exactly, Brett. You can't get the things you need. And they wound up starving, right? Still. But they have an you get a rating in ESG. And we're going to get them too, all right? And they have one of the highest ratings. It's like 98%, because they toe the line and hit all the bullet points for what it means to be ESG friendly. And they're starving, right? But they have a good score, right? That's what's important. And I want to show, I started accumulating some information from Honda, and I will go back over this and I'll present it, but just briefly. Honda, by the way, I think the Japanese, I think it's Toyota. It's either Toyota or one of those. They decided not to even get involved in electric, a lot of this stuff. They just said they don't even want to touch it right now, because they see that it's a control point, and if you're not in with the big boys, right, you won't get the money through the back door. And they're like, no, we'll let other people go down that road. Well, Honda kind of is doing the same thing, especially with the lawnmowers, right, because it's the first point of contact. And California in this country, is the first point of contact. California is looking at it and going, well, we can go after lawnmowers, because a lawnmower, yard equipment, if we eliminate that stuff, right, who's really going to fight us? What is like the lawnmower crew? You're going to have like like in the Netherlands now, like with the farmers, the Dutch farmers, what is everybody that, is pissed off about not being able to get their gas lawnmower? They're going to like take their old lawnmowers and show up at the Capitol building and cut all our lawns and run them and rev them and, Oh, God. Oh, it's blocking out the sun. There's going to be some kind of an outrage and a protest from all the lawnmower people, right? So they went after that, right? Because, what do you guys, I'm going to hold, like, a meeting with you guys, start my own action group, and, like, reach out to everybody that I talk to and be like, we're going to march on the Capitol. Bring your lawnmowers, your gas-powered, bring your two-stroke lawnmowers, right? And put a lot of extra oil in it so they smoke. And then we're going to start them all up at the Capitol building, and we're going to protest this. Oh, my God, that's fucking bizarre, right? Since that's not going to happen, okay, they figured we can screw them now. We're going to give it to them, right? So they started, there were millions and millions of dollars of lawsuits that Honda had to deal with. And they're like, no, it's a lawnmower. We don't want to deal with all of this and lawsuits. So Honda was like, all right, we're done. Okay. And by the way, the other groups that were suing them were these quote-unquote NGOs, non-governmental organizations. Like, we could start an NGO, right? You need some money, you got to register it. And usually they're political action wings that go out and try to get something done, usually politically, right? To leverage something, either to shove somebody out of business or to shove somebody that they want in business a little higher up. Either way, there aren't too many NGOs that really do actually spend the money that they get appropriately. I'm sure there's a few, but these NGOs were suing Honda, okay? And again, I started accumulating some cuts and websites and other stuff, and I would like to actually talk about that on a separate video and show it and present that so that it's not just arch blabbling. Here's the website, go read it. Here's another website, go read it, right? Don't shoot me, I'm just the messenger. And so that's kind of happening in every industry, and in our world here, right, we're the first victims. We're the low-hanging, dangly bits that they want to grab onto and yank the testicles right out from underneath you, right? That's what they're going to do, and that's what they're doing. And, another thing, too, is like all my life, every time I got into a particular industry, the most I ever worked in any industry was 7 years. When I get into any industry, it's on its way out. So these lawnmowers and things, nobody's retiring on any of this. If you're a young fella and you're getting into this, get into it. I'm not saying don't get into it. Milk it for whatever you can get out of it. If you can make some money, great. It's a good side job for sure. It's great to learn this stuff. But go get another job because it's not going to be here. And anybody thinks that they're going to have like Bob's Boutique electric mowers and service, yeah. Good luck with that, right? Meanwhile, all like you see now what's going on with the banks. The whole purpose of all of this that's going on and bailing out these big guys, that's to consolidate and get rid of the smaller banks. Like I'm with BFCU, and I've been with it since I worked at Grumman. It's a small local bank. It's big now, but it's not like a big bank, right? So save the big banks, kill all the little guys, right? And then we have less to deal with. And they'll even say to you, maybe you should go to it. Don't put your money in a small bank because you might lose it. Put it in a big bank, right? Like the ones that are ripping everybody off, right? Yeah, go do that. Yeah. Sick world, right? It's just, you think it's one thing, nobody wants to talk about this stuff, but the thing is that it's when you're an adult, everything is politics. I'm trying to get my daughter understanding this at her age. She just turned 23. It's not politics, honey. It's fucking life. It's what you have to deal with trying to survive, and good luck getting ahead. Trying to survive in the world that's presented to us by the idiots that are trying to steal everything and control. It's control and theft. Right? I call them the predator class, right? Other people call them the 1% or whatever, the elites. They're just predators. That's all they are. What they know how to do is steal. We are the ones that build everything. Who do you think builds everything on this planet? We do. We go out there, we put up the high-rises, we make all the stuff, we make the chips, we service it all, we fix it all, we make it all. I don't care whether you're an engineer or a doctor or whatever. We're the ones that all do it, and they try to figure out how they can get in on that and steal. Ultimately, I mean, what I do every day with YouTube and with what I do for a living now and everything, you know why I do it? One, because I need to eat. Two, because I like it. I do it because I'm going to do something. Like if I was independent and I had enough money to survive, I would still do it. And I would work on cars, and I think What's up? What are you guys doing? So I figured I would play that rant because it's a rant. It's Arch's rant, and it's pertinent to part of what we're going to be talking about tonight, and that's talking about Honda and Husqvarna basically killing the industry, and Honda being its first victim. Now, I released that rant, I don't know, months ago, and talking about Honda, and lo and behold, the other stuff started to happen, like, you know, the Bush League, Bush Light, right? You know, Anheuser-Busch nonsense, and this is all WEF. You know, woke is WEF, right? So before I get deep into that, I want to say hey to everybody. I got to catch up to the stuff going on in the chat thing, and so let me scroll back up because I've been trying to work the buttons and the levers and all this magic here, that the voodoo, right, that I do. So it starts off with, oh, hey everyone, be here in a few, right? Bleach says, cool. Hey Bleach, cool. How you been, Arch? Shop talk with Brett. Brett says, hey folks. Hi folks. Bleach says, hope we get more viewers in here. Brett says, we will. Some join later in the show. Bleach says, let's see, I'm going to start working on a 2005 Snapper with 15 horsepower Briggs Intech soon. Those are good engines. I don't remember which one is on the one that I have now. I sold one last year that was pretty nice. That might have been 17 horsepower. Mine's older, so it might be less. It's up on its ass. It's in the garage, and I have to do, I think I was talking about this with Bleach, is I still have to do the axle seals. I was also chatting with some of the other fellows that were commenting on the last video I did on that I released like last year, and one fellow had a lot of questions about, you know, what the hell I was doing. The thing is I think when a lot of these people, like, I think his was so frozen, he was lost. Like, okay, what is supposed to work? Because when it gets frozen like that, you don't even know what is supposed to happen. Nothing's happening. By the way, I'm getting bit here, and I got the hydrocortisone. I got bit here, over here. I mean, it's just all over the place. Yeah, I'll get back to that in a minute, because, you know, Arch can't keep a thought in his head. So he's going to start working on that. Already cleaned the carburetor. Nice. Brett says, cool. I just uploaded another Simpson video last Sunday featuring my Simpson washer, turbo nozzle, and oh, I want to see the surface cleaner. You were talking about doing something like that. I went and looked at your channel. I didn't see it. I sold the other one that I watched, I don't know, that was like a year or so ago. That's nice. You could do the sidewalks. And my friend did his deck too. He did his driveway, he did his deck, he did some of the concrete walkways, and he was showing me pictures of it. I'm like, it really looks good. He just did his with, I didn't release the entire video yet. I just did his pressure washer, and I went over the cat pump. By the way, I think I'm going to change. I did a pump earlier, cat pump, and that video started to do pretty good. The one I just did, it didn't do as well. And I think a lot of it has to do, believe it or not, with the thumbnail and a little bit of the wording. So I'm going to copy the first one, because the first one, it was just me kind of pulling this thing out of cold storage. It had been sitting for years, and I threw it on my machine, and I was yabbering about a bunch of stuff, and I think one fella complained, you know, I didn't get anything out of this video. All you did was, I was just talking about, oh, look what I have. This is the different junk. These are the different pumps, right? Oh, we got to go over that. I got some complaints, man. I got to go over.
if I have time later, I'm going to pull some comments from some people. And, you're starting to get somewhere when people, like, yell at you, right? Like, that was lame, and, you just babble too much. Yeah, duh. It's Arch's Garage. It should be Arch's Garage babbling. So let's see. Bleach says, yeah, Power Wash is cool. Brett says, it's powered by a Honda GX2. Wow, 200. That's a biggin. Those are nice. My sister finally left. I was talking with about it, and I don't even know if I'm going to release a video or whatever on it. I want to. There's a video I'm working on for her Honda-powered machine, and it was one thing after another. She did take care of it, but then the 1 year she didn't, it led to failure after failure. The motor stopped running. I put a bunch of time into it, and then finally the pump just didn't want to cooperate. And that stupid plastic, the plastic knob on some of these vertical machines is a plastic knob that you connect to your hose, and that's what tightens the hose. Well, I had a lot of problems with the unloader, and I went over the unloader, and the pressures were building up down there, and I've seen this so many times. And the final test, after spending, I wouldn't say a full day, but it kills a shop day. And I put it on there, and wouldn't you know, the plastic got damaged, and the thing blew off and cocked, and water spraying all over. It's done, right? And I told her that. I'm like, this is why I don't do these machines, because these vertical machines, because they're garbage, right? You have to really take care of these things. And it's like, I have a video or two on how to take care of them, but nobody watches it, of course. And I wind up with most of these, and a lot of times I don't take them as repairs, and I throw them out, and I pull some pieces off, and whatever. It says, Brett says, Arch may want to see that since he recently did it. Yeah, exactly. Let's see, be right back. Lee says, Robert, hey Robert, Husqvarna Mower Company. Yeah. Zombie says, hello, what's up, Casey? With his zombie stuff, he's always got these like zombie. That's a cool name, right? You get these mowers, you drag them home, they don't work. They're like zombies, and that's a cool name. I like that. I like that whole thing. I know it's the end of the end again, right? I know it's the end of the end. Yeah. Robert says, hello, Casey. Let's see. How many? Oh, hey man, how's yous doing? Well, I'm doing pretty good. We'll get into that. Okay, thank goodness I bought a blown. Let's see. Hold on. Bleach says, oh, thank goodness I thought a blown the speakers on my TV. The sound was bad on the preview. Oh, okay. Spork says, Arch, Spork, where you been? Right? You working so much? He's probably working and spending money. Brett says, it's up there now, Arch, if you want to highlight it in the show tonight. Cool, yeah, if we have time. Like, well, we only have 3 hours. Yeah. It's crazy trying to, get like everything in. So last week, I decided to split and not do anything because I've been trying to get my friend Liz to hang out and do like a fire, which is like a once-a-year thing for the two of us. Because in order for it to happen, literally, the stars have to align, okay? That's just how it is between her and I. She's a good friend of mine. And it turned out like tonight would have sucked because it rained a little bit today. By the way, guys, we've been getting rain. The grass is growing. I sold like a cheapy lawnmower last week. The guy, he was far too. He was like way back where I used to live. And he sends me a picture or a little video clip, and he's like, I gotta have it. I'm like, I'm coming now. He's like, I'm coming now. I'm like, okay. Like the grass is growing. It's actually green. How awesome is that, right? Like, because like I had such a lousy year last year, and I can't even keep up this year, which is good. I'm still not making any money because, the government takes everything because of inflation and the taxes and everything else, but everything is so freaking expensive. So, there you go. Anyway, which goes to what I'm talking about a little bit tonight. And spending money. Yeah, folks says, yup, working. Yeah, okay, working and spending money. I bought the bike. Sweet. Send over some pics on Discord or something, like later on or whatever. Just post them in Visceral's channel. Load up the channel, and we can check out some cool pics of this new bike. Write in here what you bought, all right, so we know what the hell you got. You can't put any pics in here, I don't think. I don't think you can do that. I don't know. I don't have like a moderator. I don't even know what to do, so yeah, tonight would have sucked for that. And I tried to get her the week before, but life, right? Crap was happening over there, and her kids were having issues. Oh, you're not. What do you mean you're not in Vistal's channel anymore? But I'm in Curve's channel. I don't care where you post it. Casey says sold my YS4 4500 for a bagger system finally. First sale in 2.5 months. Really? What's going on with that? What is going on with that? That is not acceptable. Bleach says the carburetor cleaner fumes made me dizzy. Worse than any weed I'd done when I filmed the carburetor cleaner. Yeah, you had mentioned, I think even on that live, that you're sensitive to that. You're having chemical sensitivity issues. You got to really, you know what you do? I have this little fan over here. My daughter gave me. It's a little Honeywell fan, little round fan. Set up a small box fan or a round fan or something. Obviously, do it either outside or do it in your garage where all with the doors open. But put the fan in such a way that it not too close, but enough to where it blows over what you're doing and then out. The carburetor cleaner, I don't use a lot of it. I use, if anybody that's ever watched like some of these videos where I do carburetors, even like the little parts that I show, I use so little of it. I usually take the old gas. It's a combination of new gas, old gas, brake cleaner, carburetor cleaner, oil, two-stroke. It's gas that does not smell a lot. And then I recycle it and I let it settle. I pour off the good, I filter it, I get rid of the junk, wipe it out, throw it out. And this way it doesn't smell too much. Like I just got a bunch of old gas in today from some stuff which we're going to take a look at in a little while. And as long as it doesn't smell too much. Sometimes I'll leave the container open outside for a little while and let the stank out if it's just a little stinky. And I find that's the best. Mineral Spirits is really good. Mixed Mowers, right? He does mostly WD-40. He cleans with WD-40. And it's not like a really good cleaner, but if the carburetor isn't too dirty, it won't kill any of your rubber stuff. In fact, it's actually good for it. Like my tranny sauce. That's the other thing I use the tranny sauce for, right? Because it's going to refresh all of the rubber gaskets and everything if they're capable of that, that happening. And it's not stinky. It's a cleaner, depending upon what ratio I use. It's a lubricant. It restores stuff. It's a protectant. So WD-40 is similar, but not really. And like the dead gas or mineral spirits doesn't have all those fumes. And that way, and because carburetor cleaner will kill like rubber parts and stuff, and it's expensive, it adds up, right? I go through a lot of it. I do use it. Yeah, try the WD. I think you'd be better off. And another thing too is just take either some gas or something and bring it outside. And I brush my carbs and stuff with some gasoline, like I said, the old stuff, and I let it sit. And then I dump it off, and then I use the carburetor cleaner, whatever. I blow with the air, low pressure air, and I just try anything I can do to keep the stink out, or out. It's certainly not in here, right? So yeah, it's been really busy, and the weather has been very hot, sometimes humid. It gets cool for a couple of days. It will rain. It will then get humid, hot, and cool, and it just keeps doing that. So last Saturday, it was actually cool enough, as I said to her, I said, do you want any of the off? No, I don't want any of that. I brought a sweatshirt. Well, she had a sweatshirt on. Like, I don't know, it was dark. We hung out till like 11 or so. It was very nice, actually. It was much needed. I wish we could do that more often. Maybe. Yeah, anything that evaporates. Jamie O says, hey, Arch. Jamie's coming in, right? If you want to go back and check out the first part of this tonight's show, because it helps to set the tone of some of what I'm going to be talking about. I think that's kind of important, right? To kind of cover some of the bases of what the hell's going on in the industry. So got that done, hung out, worked all week, and then I think it was Monday or Tuesday, because I was pretty tired. All right, so this is my coffee, which is in the nice Yeti cup. And a lot of times I'll leave it over here, right? So it's got that thing on it. Well, talking to Kerf and Miller, right? This is my glass of water, right? I had just filled it just like this. I put it over here to my right, right? And wouldn't you know, it's like over here. Wouldn't you know, like an idiot, I was kind of tired. I knocked into it with this, which was like almost full because this is heavy. And the water ran underneath the monitor, underneath the phone, underneath the speakers, down the back, and right into the computer. The fan pulled it in. It ran down the back of the computer shut off, and I was like, and I was not like doing good that day. I was like trying to, like, you know, maybe I can do a few things around here. I'm really kind of shot from the weekend and everything else. I really don't want to do anything. Well, fortunately, I'm on. Okay, the only thing that died was a cable. I guess like a DVI cable. It got too much water in it. Even though I blew it out, I didn't feel like taking it out of the system because like a week earlier I had just kind of like rewired the whole back here. I got the UPS going, a bunch of other things, so everything was like tied in. I have Panduit trough back there, and I do cable management. It's not a nightmare back there at all. So I didn't feel like taking it out. I took everything apart, blew it out with compressed air, and then I left it outside in the sun, and then I proceeded to do a few other things that I wanted to do, that I really needed to do anyway. And after a couple hours I came back and I went through everything, went through the computer, you know, wiped things down, made sure it was blown off and seemed fine. I put everything back together, and it had wonked out the BIOS. I had to kind of reset the BIOS. I have some presets in this motherboard, and I was able to get it back. And I think it had one glitch later on that night, and then it was fine, right? I just had to change the cable. So I could have really fried everything, and it really goes against my rules. But the problem I have is that they were bringing in bottled water, which I don't like, and they know not to do that. It's good for certain things and for emergencies, but the bottled water, because of the leaching from the plastic, is not good for you, right? So, but what's good is that you can turn the top down, you can put it wherever you want. If you knock it over, it could fall on the floor. Maybe it'll drop or two will come out, but you're not going to empty it into your electronics. And I was like, okay, so they stopped doing that. And well, I was like, well, let's grab this. Now we do have some tops, but I don't know where the hell they put them. So what I need to do is put, because it's like a small mason jar. So I think that's the next step, is to go find the tops or keep one out here so that it doesn't get lost, and put the top on. And I'm less likely to spill it. So let's see, let me catch up. So Spork says he posted pics in Kurt's Discord. Cool, I'll turn it on later, because if I turn it on now, my friend Usha will be calling me. And see, Bleach says, I took a CBD infusion gummy, so I'm relaxed. Nice, but a little jumpy. I just got my learner's permit. I'm scared to drive. Any good tips? It's been years. The last time I drove was like an '84 Pinto. Oh, that's a good one, right? Yeah, the Pinto. The one that, is that the one that blew up? Like the one that, like the firing pin on the gas tank? Yeah, had to come back outside. Yeah. Best thing to do is if you're going to start driving again and you're nervous about it, try to find time when, find time when you feel right and you don't have glare in your eyes. You know, so any time of day, depending on your area and how many trees are or whatever, you don't want glare in your eyes. You know. Yeah, they blew up. Yeah, they did. If everything was just right, they were cool cars though. They were like $2,000 or less back then. Let's see, I got a fly in here. Let's see. My sister had a Pinto. Yeah, I like the Pintos, the Mavericks, right? They were pretty cool. You put a 289 in them and they were pretty fast. Put a little like 289 302 in it, and put it like a 4.9-inch rear in the back. Remove the firing pin from the gas tank, you know. So yeah, I've been kicking butt. Took care of that. That set me back a little bit. That was freaky, because it's like you wouldn't ever want that to happen. You know, if I can't afford to burn out anything else. The past couple of years I've been frying hard drives and stuff. Yeah, in the late 90s. Yeah, just go slow, right? Whatever you drive a smaller car. It's easier than driving a bigger truck. And just go slow, and you're going to have to practice. You know, you need to go with somebody that is going to make sure that you're doing it the right way. If you don't remember, you know, it'll come back. But if you haven't done it in a long time, it's like riding a bike. You know, it's like you might fall over a couple of times. Hopefully you don't hit anything other than a curb. But yeah, just go slow. I think it'd be cool. It's good. Get driving again, get everything going again, and you know, enjoy. So good luck with that, and you'll do fine. Right? Just start off slow. Like I said, it comes back. Everything like that comes back. Yeah, there you go. You get a friend to teach you. Yep. I mean, to pass, right? If you have to take a road test again, to pass, you have to know the things that you have to know, like, you know, 3-point turn, parallel parking. The rest of it, you know, to signal, you know, to stop for a stop sign and full stop and all the other stuff. My daughter just got a ticket, right? She kind of like, she says she didn't roll through the stop sign. However, the picture says something a little bit different. It wasn't a stop sign. It was the light. Okay. Once the light is red, if you're anywhere near it, you have to have a full stop. Otherwise, technically, which is how they make their money, technically speaking, it's a roll through. So she did a roll through, and she could pay the ticket now. Yeah. So, you know, there you go. So you're keeping busy, and I had fun though. A lot of fun last weekend though, hanging out with her and just kind of like, you know, chewing the fat and catching up on stuff. But neither one of us have much time, and a lot of stuff that like she does and stuff. She wants me to go to like certain kids things and stuff. It's like it's at the end of the day, and between the diabetes and my bad back and working my ass off, it's like a lot of times at the end of the day, like around 7 o'clock. With diabetes, like you have to eat at certain times and you have to inject at certain times, and if you're really busy, you'll start to actually run out of sugar and you could die. There's not enough sugar to keep your body alive. So you have to stop. And sometimes I get to the point where I have to have dinner. And if I'm not making it or not eating it, if I don't have it, I have to take a sugar pill because I'm literally running out of food energy. So I can't go anywhere at that point. There's, you know, you can't drive because you'll pass out in a coma and slam into something. All right, so you have to attend to that, and then once you've balanced out your sugars, well, if you have enough energy at that point, if you're not like totally zapped out from the whole endeavor, right, then you can go somewhere. Yeah, you can have arthritis in your back. Yeah, I got a bad back. I blew out my, it's like 12 years ago or something. I blew out my L5 like a lot of people do. I'm actually sitting on a bag of ice right now, right? It's frozen water. It's like gel packed and shit. And I usually do, because if I sit for any length of time, it gets really uncomfortable. And no amount of painkillers or anything is going to help that. So that's usually what I'm doing when I'm sitting here talking to you guys, is generally an ice bag somewhere. I call it the ice ass bag. I'm not actually sitting on it. It's in the small of my back. So trying to catch up with everybody. I see all you guys. Some of the people telling me it's like they're in Texas and it's really hot. And I also wanted to get to Nighthawk left a comment. Let me see if I can go find that real quick, because I thought it was pertinent to what we want to talk about tonight a little. So let me see. Where am I? Hold on, stand by. I want to go find him. Okay. Let's see here. I'll look through my comments. I know it was recently. I'll find it. There's been a lot of activity. I don't remember which one. I just released that video on burning off the tires, and that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. Hopefully you guys saw that and got a kick out of it. And then here it is. Let's see. Let me hit the read more button. So Nighthawk 86855. All right. Shout out to him if anybody knows him. Let's see. Bleach says drove a Snapper IT11 1984 11 horsepower Briggs lawn tractor around before, much different than a car. Yeah, totally. Casey says they said I have DDD in my lower back. Wow. Yeah. I remember when it was like 12 years ago. It pretty much wrecked my life. I was in agony for like 2 years, and I asked my chiropractor. I said, how long does this go on for? Like, what's on the other end of this? And he says, well, about every 7 years, just about every cell in your body is replaced. I kind of knew that, but I'm like, okay, that makes sense. He says, so about 10 years. I said, 10 years, what happens? Like, it's not going to repair itself. He goes, no, but enough of the initial shock to the body and the compensation, and if you're trying to do the right thing for the next 10 years, you know, keeping yourself strong and whatever, it will be like arthritis. It'll be more like arthritis. It won't necessarily be arthritis, although you can become arthritic, but it would be more like that, so it would be more manageable. And I was like, 10 years? Oh my God, right? I was like 40. So I was like, no, this is horrible. It was like really bad. Yeah, it was really bad. Let's see. They said I have DD. Yes, was good video. Thanks, Casey. Bleach says, what did in back? Meant DDD. Sorry, man. I think Bleach is asking what's DDD. What is DDD? That is sounds familiar. All right, so let me read Nighthawk's comment. All right, so he says, let me catch up. I get tingling in my legs sometimes too. Yeah, I had that. Trying chiropractor thing now versus pain. Yeah, because I go to pain management, and I'm like their hero. I'm like the golden boy. Yeah, degenerative disc disease. Yeah, that's basically what happened to me. Right, it blows out. There's a little bubble. If the bubble hits a nerve, your body freaks out. You're in agony. And then the bubble leaks, and then the stuff that's in the disc leaks out, aggravates everything, inflammation, you're in agony. And then the segments of the spine compress together. There's nothing holding them apart anymore, right? And then they slam together, and then they grind, and you're in agony, and you can't move. And then something just slammed into my nose, right? All these bugs. I hear somebody calling for the dog. I guess the dog is outside, trapped out there somewhere. Yeah, I love narcotics. That was the only thing that worked, right? You got to be real careful with it, though. I am on an extremely low dose. It was so bad, even that didn't work. They were pumping all kinds of stuff into me. And at some point, I stopped almost all of it because it was giving me headaches and everything. Yeah, it's like a car. There's no shock absorber, right? There's no shock absorber, so you just get the grind. And it's just brutal. Like, you know, they could probably fix a lot of this stuff with the mRNA technology, right, and the stem cell treatments, but they're not going to. They don't cure anything. They want to just charge you for sticking clot shots into you and making fuss, you know, messing people up, and they make trillions of dollars, and nobody gets helped. It's just unbelievable. Everything is so corrupt. All right, so Nighthawk says, what doesn't make any sense to me, all right, doesn't a company save money using the same tool and dies year after year, rather than completely changing each piece of equipment to manufacture a new machine every 2 years? Well, all this stuff is made in China. Now, this is in reference to the video I did on Briggs keeps changing stuff, right? Even these little changes, they just keep tweaking and changing. And you got to ask, well, why would they do that, right? Where's the money in this? Let's see. So all this stuff is made in China, where manufacturers are a dime a dozen, and each place has different setups. Kinda. They have a lot of the same setups. That's why Briggs is making money, because where the items are made, they use different places to make their stuff. Also, remember, China has no EPA breathing down their necks to not pollute during the manufacturing process, so they can pollute all they want, keep costs down, and make these things for pennies on the dollar. Now he goes on, hold on. They also don't have any trade unions. Okay, they don't have any OSHA. They don't have any restrictions in that way, really. They really don't. I have people always complain about I want made in America. You couldn't afford a true made in America piece of equipment, because all the hoops the company would have to jump through to make that machine. A Chinese company could make the mower for, say, $50 and cost the American consumer $200. But an American company with everything made in America would cost $300 to manufacture and end up costing the American consumer well over $1,200. And that would make the American consumer freak the hell out. That's partially true, and that sets a tone to, if you really want to drill down into that, I can actually tell you why that's partially true. It is true right now but not completely. Let me catch up to you guys. Let's see. I have to go fold laundry. I'll be back, Bleach says. Not now! All right, fold it while you're listening. The disabled deer hunter. Cheeros rock. Oh, Cheeros, yeah. Take it from someone with disability. Only pain relief I get. Yeah, right? Casey B. Zombie Motors. Casey says, doctor said it's from hard-working, don't see in people under 50-ish. Casey says, just like ATV tires, they use bead locks so you buy a new wheel and tires. Yeah, like that damn tire I just had to go through, right? Somebody was telling me that a lot of those, that was from the 80s, and a lot of those were set up so that you just had to buy a whole new rim and tire. Like once you put a tire like that on a rim like that, you're not getting it off, right? Not through any like practical measure other than me with a flame torch getting it off, right? Yeah, absolutely. So you got to find relief however you can, and I think there's a possibility that some of those painkillers, acetaminophen is toxic, and ibuprofen is worse. It will kill you in short order if you take it for chronic pain. It will kill your kidneys. It will destroy you. And I think that the painkillers and some of the other meds that I took may have led to the diabetes. It could have possibly burned out my pancreas, along with the stress. Because I do use sugar, and there is corn syrup in a lot of things. I had gotten away from eating the packaged food. I never really was a big fan of a lot of the garbage food anyway, but I liked ice cream and candy and stuff from time to time, sure. But I was never overweight, really. I did blow up for a couple of years. Not right away when I first hurt my back. It was later on. And not like bad, though. I mean, I was maybe 180, 190 pounds. My general weight is like 170 to 175. So, yeah, Robin says that Archie's the tire removal master. Yeah, the flame master. Yeah, that was fun. I had a good time, and I was trying to get Mike to pick up a few tips and work with some stuff and show him a few things, just to kind of familiarize him a little bit more. And I think the other thing too is for Mike was like, he kind of was like, because he has more money now, and the temptation was maybe I should just go and have it done or just buy something else. I'm like, no. It's the confidence, right? Now that he's done it, by hook or by crook, right? It's a little bit more confidence. It's like a notch under your belt. It's like, you know what? There's tools here. There must be a way to figure this out. Let's try it. And I didn't want to wreck the rim, but worst case was you can't use the rim with tires stuck on it. So you weigh your odds, right? Bead locks to prevent a sidewall blowout, but unless it's an aluminum wheel, it's meant to be replaced. Yeah. So now I want to get back to reading this before I'm done. I have people. Oh yeah, okay. So covering over what he's talking about is you have to ask the question. One question is well, why is it $300? Let's just say those numbers are accurate. Why is it a couple $100s to make something here? Well, there are still some companies that make things in the United States, including cars, right? There's manufacturers from BMW and Honda and others that have outfits here down south. And in some of these places, they're right-to-work states, so there's no union. Okay, well, that cuts out a lot of the garbage, because unions used to be a good thing. When the Pinkertons were killing us, right? When the Ford dealerships and the Ford plants and the coal plants and all this other stuff, they'd come in, they'd level. And you look back through the history, that's just in the early 1900s. They'd level a town, these makeshift towns where we worked for these companies, and you got paid in company script, and you could only buy stuff at the company store, and you lived in a tent with a freaking coal-fired or wood-fired stove, and those are some brutal times. So unions had a lot of merit in those days, but nowadays they're just fat cats running these unions that are all corrupt, a lot of it by the mob or whoever, and they make all the money and they take all of our dues, and they really don't do anything. In fact, if anything, they chase the manufacturers out of the country. So they're part of the problem. They're not really helping. There's probably a couple of decent unions, but still, that's like the same thing. The only time you can have it, like you can have a good union in the United States today, is if it's for something where you like in the building trades, you're going to build a building in the United States. Full stop. You can't leave and go somewhere else. The building is here. It's in the United States. But that's not manufacturing. That's trade unions. Like the teachers union is hugely bloated, and they were largely responsible for all the sins that were committed during the lockdowns because they pay a lot of money into the coffers of lobbyists and politicians, and they like the money. They like the control, and they like the money coming in. Well, half of these kids that were not in school, I hear these stories, like some of these young kids, they're almost retarded. They scream, they yell, they were nonverbal. It set them back so far. It's just crazy. Yeah, I owe my soul. Let's see, let me catch up. Question mark. When is the next Sears video coming out? Oh yeah, that's a good one. Hold on. I'm taking the meloxicam to get my knees feeling better. Yeah, I've had that. My dad was a member of the IBEW. Cool. Absolutely right about the unions, and it's an unfortunate thing. Now, they were very good in the beginning. The next Sears video is let's see, I uploaded it, and it's actually the last video in that series, and it's a little long. I don't know how to get these things any shorter. There's so much to do in a restification on something like that, but it's the last one, and at least for now. And I think next week I might do a premiere on like a Friday night, and or if I don't do a Saturday live, I might do like a premiere. This way I can just hang out in the background, zombie out myself, put my feet up, chat with you fellas, whoever wants to come in and see it, and then you can watch it, another time if you miss a section of it. But yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun. Yeah, let's see. Let me catch up. So Island Outdoors is absolutely right. Hey Island, welcome to the channel. Brett says, yeah, load 16 tons of what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. Yeah, good too. Mo Zombie says, yes, we're in trouble in 20 and 30 years for sure. No, we're going to be in trouble. We're already in trouble. And the date that they keep setting, these WEFers, and is 2030. Okay, they're in. We might be able to stop this or slow it. A lot of what's happening now is just people are waking up, and it's literally being revealed. Like, we're in the time of revelations, quote. It's being revealed. That which is in the dark eventually comes to the light, and I think a lot of what's going on right now is it's becoming so plainly obvious that, like I said in my little video, I call them the predator class. I'm willing to bet that if they treated us right, we wouldn't complain. But they've stolen so much that there's almost nothing left, and everything's wealth transfer. The whole lockdown thing, the whole CVID thing, was all about wealth transfer. All of these small businesses were getting shut down, people being arrested, all these fines. Meanwhile, all of the big businesses, these people made trillions of dollars, and now they're flying around in space with their toys. Give me a break, right? Let's see. Spork says, I believe my grandfather was in the Masons. Yeah. Jamie says, some teachers enjoy teaching from the beach during COVID. Yeah, I bet. Yeah, that must have been nice. Driving from Massachusetts to Pensacola to return a construction project. Whoa, nice. By the way, I've been hearing stuff about, now I haven't confirmed this yet, so it's just rumor for me, but I've been hearing stuff about, there's a lot of dead ending that was coming out of Florida, and obviously the smaller truckers can't do that. They don't make enough money. All right, but these big outfit firms, I think they're trying to do something to Florida. The thing that I'm suspicious of is that all of this nonsense with this political stuff, people were leaving New York and California, and they went to Texas and Florida. All of these, right-wingers, we'll just call them that, right? Conservative right-wingers. Whatever, they moved down there. Why do I suspect that that's a trap? Everything happens for a reason. I mean, you think that the powers that be don't know that that's going to happen? Like, they haven't sat down in these stupid blue rooms and talked about it, and like, well, maybe we can get them all to move to certain states, and then we'll fucking pull the noose in and trap them all there. Like, why am I so suspicious of that? I can't prove any of it. I don't know. I haven't really looked into it. It's just Arch freaking out. But, you know, if you guys come across something in, I don't know, a year, a couple of months, whatever, and you're thinking about me, geez, Arch said something about that. What the fuck is going on? I don't know. I haven't had time to look into it. I don't know. You know. So there are companies making stuff here, and so how are they able to make a profit and pay their workers a decent wage? How are they able to do it? And I can't really tell you the answer to that. Like, a lot of this stuff is new to me because I'm waking up to a lot of it, or being red-pilled or whatever, and I'm like, what the hell's going on over there? What is this about? Now, when the bankers destroy money, like they're doing right now with inflation, yes, of course, any kind of lifestyle for any middle class, lower, middle, upper, not like high, but, you know, everything becomes a problem. And of course they know that, right? Which is why they're doing it. And I remember when the beginning of the lockdowns and they were going to like hand out all this money. It's like, if you do that, I told some of my friends, I'm like, you could risk being in hyperinflation. And I remember when that happened to my father, and it almost destroyed. It basically did destroy him. It totally, I remember it destroyed the American way of life. Between that and a 10% embargo from OPEC, basically shut down modern America. And was just destroying it. And then finally Nixon to shift away from gold to a complete fiat currency. Boom. Right? 3 beautiful events. And then when Clinton came in, between the NAFTA and GATT, which was a crying shame. I remember screaming about this on my friend's lawn, talking to his father. And then the other thing he did was he repealed the Glass-Steagall Act, which was passed after the big ripoff in the Great Depression, because all these banks were taking advantage of everybody, and the investment banks and the commercial banks. And so the Glass-Steagall Act was put into play to stop them from doing that. It separated the banks. And so if you were a small business person like me, you didn't go to a local bank that was your personal bank for a business loan. You went to a different bank. If you wanted to do investments, if you had extra money and you wanted to roll on the stock market and try your hand at it because it's a freaking open-air casino, you went to a different house, right? Which is, it's considered to be a bank, but it's a bank for that. Never the twain shall meet. And so 2008 is a result of what Clinton did. Not directly back, but because of opening up the restrictions and the regulations, all this inventive, financial management took place. Most of us don't know what the hell that is, and people got screwed. So this is all intentional. Let's see, let me catch up. Isn't it? Let's see. Casey says, "Isn't it convenient? They're hurricane states." Yes, and I'm glad. Let's see. Brett says, "I'm glad Simpson has a full U.S. Yes, it's a full U.S. based company. Now there are some things they do have to get. Again, this is the world today, but they do a lot here. And Brett says it's a full. Yeah. He's just correcting. So, of course, I don't mind things being built elsewhere. I'm not a fan of globalism, which is what's happened. I'm a fan of people, right? People. There's so many resources on this planet. If it weren't for the bags taking all of it, right, there's plenty for all of us. And so I'm a fan of people improving their standard of living, no matter where they are, right? I don't want to see anybody dragged down. I mean, these are, generally speaking, people are, like, for the most part, most of us are the same. I mean, you're always going to have your freaks and your weirdos and your criminals, but for the most part, that's such a small, it really is a small percentage of society, and it's just going to be, I'm talking about regular people, right? I don't care what color you are or where you come from. Like, I live in New York. It's every color. It's every come from. It just is. I remember when they were talking about, systemic racism. I'm, going around asking, Latinos and black people and everything else that, because Indians, I'm like, do you guys, what is this system? Do you feel like this system? They're like, no, there's prejudice. But 2 white people can be prejudiced against each other. 2 black people can be. That's like a natural thing. And everybody I asked is like, I don't know what they're talking about. Yeah, me neither. I mean, maybe it exists somewhere, but it's not like systemic nationwide, right? Because they're coming after us, right? They're trying to start fomenting problems. All right, I want to get to like the next little thing here. So I got another little video. So I want to play a video from Chick Panic, right? I cut it up a little bit. I actually said something to her about it. I was like, hopefully you don't mind. I want to use it in my live show. I mean, she doesn't have any restrictions on her channel for that anyway, but I just wanted to mention it to her because I think she said it well, and that can take us a little bit more into what's going on with Husky. So if you guys haven't already caught it, well, great, you're going to see some of it now. And if you already caught it, well, great, we're going to talk about it anyway now. So let me cue that up. Let me shut me up, and you guys can just keep chatting in there, and I'll catch up. Let me find it. Hold on, here it is. I've been having fun with the equipment, so I'm getting better at it, right? Let's see, we're gonna cue it up. I'm gonna shut my mic off.
I can't get parts for some mowers that have been waiting for 6 months for a simple kill cable. Now, we've never really had this problem before. We've always been able to get parts quite easily for this manufacturer, but it seems like in the last year, we've been seeing a lot more issues. So I went on a mission to find out why.
Now, though, we go to the local economy watch. When the Husqvarna plant in southwest Arkansas closes next year, nearly 650 workers who thought they'd secured steady work will be looking for new jobs.
Wait, what? You're telling me that they're closing down a plant that's been open for 50 years. Since 1974, this plant has been going on. In this town of like 4,000 people, 650 people are losing their jobs. Like the entire town must work there. That's got to be rough. But, I mean, they've got to have other factories in the USA, right?
Belfair County's largest employer plans to close its doors at the end of the month, putting about 1,000 people out of work. Ensley Nichols went to McRae Helena and found out that the closing will have a big impact on a small town.
That's 1,000 people in a town of only 7,000 people. I mean, that's another one. Most of the town worked at that factory and lost their jobs. This happened last year. And whenever they stopped production of their walk-behind mower line in like 2017, they already got rid of their plant in DeQueen, Arkansas, in Shreveport, Louisiana, and in Beatrice, Nebraska. So what is Husqvarna doing? They're going green. So how does Husqvarna lower their carbon footprint in the United States? They send all our jobs to Brazil, Poland, and China as they close down all their extra factories, and they decide to spend millions of dollars on this huge mega facility in South Carolina. Now you gotta think about it. Husqvarna's been in business for like 500 years, like not exaggerating, seems like 500 years, and they have been a huge presence in the United States for at least the last 50 years. They have made millions of dollars off Americans buying their products. All right, so at least we got this one big, huge, mega solar-powered factory that's going to make all of the Husqvarna stuff in America for us, and it's going to employ a bunch of people, and it's going to be all good, right? I mean, nothing's going to go wrong there. Oh, they've already started letting people go this last month. Uh-oh. RuralLifestyleDealer.com reports, and you need to go to their website. They are on top of everything outdoor power equipment. It's a wonderful website to keep up to date on everything. They report Husqvarna lays off 200 employees at Orangeburg, South Carolina factory. This was July 21st, 2023. Husqvarna has laid off 200 to 230 employees at its Orangeburg, South Carolina facility, according to a July 19th report. These job cuts come at the same time that Husqvarna is shifting production at its Nashville facility in Arkansas primarily to Brazil. The shift from patrol to battery means that we have to continue to increase our organizational efficiency and make decisive, destructive changes. And one of the displaced workers in South Carolina decided to speak out.
Shut down like a month ago, and we were supposed to use our vacation days, and it impacted me because my bill goes on, and I was forced to go into my savings account, and I feel that that was messed up all around due to poor communication. I feel like as a company, it should have paid us for the shutdown week because it wasn't our fault. Doing better for all of us as a unit.
But if they stopped making walk-behind mowers like 5 years ago, and the two cycles they're coming out with, I'm not very impressed with these days, what are they doing with all their effort? Battery-powered robotic mowers. Who's ready to get your hands on one of these? How much money you got, guys? Because they go for about $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, and supposedly, according to them, they last about 10 years. That's it. And the batteries, they only have a lifespan about 3 to 6 years. And by the way, these batteries range from about $150 to $650. So it's possible you could drop $4,000 on your robotic mower, have to replace the battery every single 3 years, so that's another $1,500, and then you're spending $5,500 every 10 years just to have your grass mowed by itself. But you gotta admit, it's pretty sweet, right? You never have to worry about gas, oil, taking it to the shop, and hey, you're saving the world at the same time. So that means they've gotta be really safe, right? I mean, they definitely put these through the ringer with testing. Oh, well, here's their recall for 1,500 units just last year from batteries getting excessively hot and catching on fire. But don't worry, guys, I'm not going to go into a rant about the unethical sourcing of lithium like I have in my past videos. You know my views on it if you've seen them, but I did just find out that Exxon bought 122,000 acres in Arkansas to turn our beautiful forests into a lithium leaching mine. So I'm not very happy about that one. If you'd like to see my video, though, of me talking about the slave children in Africa who mine lithium for all of our batteries, I will leave a link right up here. So I don't know what's going on with Husqvarna. All I know is this week, in 1 week, I had to return $100 to a customer who ordered a baffle kit for their Husqvarna riding lawnmower. It's been back ordered 2 months. I gave the guy his money back. I have a wiring harness, the kill cables for a Husqvarna Rancher chainsaw. I mean, it's like the most common chainsaw out there. Can't get the kill wires for it. And on top of it, I've got these mowers that have been sitting at the shop that I'm fixing to show you. So, as you can see, I am packed up with stuff all over the place, the floor, it's everywhere. But over here, this bad boy has been here for 6 months. And everybody bought these Husqvarna all-wheel drive mowers, and it runs great. The only problem is it has a bad kill cable. Really? This $13.99 part is all it needs to run. My distributor has 158 on back order. They've been back ordered for months. You can't get them on Amazon, you can't get them on eBay, and all of the other distributors that sell online are out of them. So I know the first thought that's coming to your mind is, why haven't I tried multiple different kill cables? I'm sure something's gonna work. We've tried. So I've taken the cable off of this customer's mower, and you can see the design of the kill bill handle and how it's gonna go on to this Honda engine. And you can see that this other one that's got the front wheel drive, Husqvarna, has pretty much the same design on it. It's got the same bail handle. The entire handle assembly looks about the same length. It hooks on to the engine the same exact way. So let's see if this cable is going to work. Now, when you have a kill cable like this, a lot of people think that any of them should work, and a lot of times you can make things work, but to work correctly, it needs to be the exact right length. And what people get confused about is thinking that the length from one end to the other needs to be right. That's not it. The length from where it attaches to the handle and where it plugs in needs to be right. That's not it either. What needs to be right is where it sticks out from this hole here to the bail handle, and where it sticks out from here to the engine. Because other than that, a lot of times you can have a cable that's longer right here, but the ends is what really matters. So if I bring it up to this mower and I go from here and I see, this is about where it goes to the bail. Okay, that's perfect there. I bring it down. Now I see this outside black sheath is going to be longer than this one, so it's a different part number. It's a completely different cable. But where it plugs into the engine and goes into its little prong right there is exactly the same as this cable. So essentially, even though there might be a little bit more hanging here, it's gonna work. So can I get this cable to work on that mower? Unfortunately, it looks like you can't get that one either. One thing I do want to show you whenever you have a cable like this on your mower, a lot of times if you're needing to get a new one, they put the part number stamped in right in the side of the cable, 424983. Now, if you have that 6-digit part number and you're Google searching for it and you see the same number, but it has a 532 in front of it, that is the same exact cable. Husqvarna put 532 in front of all of their part numbers.
All right, I left the cable part in because I have a solution to it, right? And I haven't made a video yet. We'll talk about that in a minute. I want to get you guys fired up. Before I get started on that, I promised. So I never did a video really on this, but you can get from Amazon, you can get these things. I don't know, is this one any better? No, there's no light there. All right, you can get these are the cable luber attachments. They got these little, it kind of clamps onto the end of the cable. They kind of do the job, kinda. They're not very good. It depends upon the end of the cable. If you can get a section of the cable where you could get the cable in there properly and clamp it down, and there's nothing like too much in the way, because it won't seal otherwise. If there's a connector on the end, if you could take that off or just slide it out of your way, you can mount this, and then it's got a spot. Now this is for you, Sporky, and it's got these spots where you slip your lube in and then spray away. Now my favorite lube, which at one point, I think it was like during CVID and like right after, it took me 6 months to get this stuff. Right, this is my favorite chain and cable lube, and I actually got to get more. I use it sparingly. A lot of times I'll start off with like a penetrant if I really feel it's sticky, but that is like a gel, and it'll go in. It's got a nice vehicle. It'll go in deep, like, and then it'll gel up. Right, this is chain wax, chain lube, and cable lube, but it will wax up. And a lot of guys that watch my stuff, you'll know how much I love this shit. I just love this because it's like a grease and a penetrant, and then it waxes up, and I use it to protect metal. It's similar to Cosmoline, which is what the military used to use. CRC has a variant of that. They used to use to pack everything in back in like World War II. I think they still use something similar to that. All right, so yeah, Chicanic rules. Let's see. Yeah, after the segment, oh, that was me. I have one. They're very messy. Yeah. It's just a messy job, right? Spork says I use liquid wrench for hinges and such. It's okay. Yeah, the graphite doesn't hold up as much because it's more for locks. But I just love these two products. I actually talk about it a lot. Let's see. Island Outdoors says $30 for a can of Croyle. Sheesh. Yeah, I know. I have a can and I pray to it. Okay, I pray it doesn't go empty. I try not to use it as much. I think it was, oh, what the hell's his name? Why am I thinking of Matt over at the Diesel Creek? He was being sponsored for a little while by Croyle. It's like, I'd like that. I'd like to be at that point where I'm getting Croyle by the case. Yeah, success has arrived. You know success is arriving when Croyle shows up at your door for free and says, just make videos using it. Yeah, Nick! Let's see, Disabled Dino says, have you tried gel lube from Tower? No, I haven't, but these are like similar products. I have a different kind of gel lube. I kind of want to try it, but I've seen it in other manufacturers. It depends on what you're using it for. Like he has some particular uses when he whips it out, and I do enjoy that because it's like the right use. But like this is like my general, because remember, right, I'm always looking for something that I can just stock one can and kind of get away with it. I don't make a lot of money doing what I'm doing. People don't know what the hell I do. You know, they come to me because they like certain parts of my service. They like certain parts of my pricing. They like the 5-star rating. When I try to tell them some of this stuff, what they hear is what my dog hears, right? My dog hears blah, 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 food, blah, 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 walk, right? That's what they hear. They stop listening. I use Seafoam Deep Creep. Ooh, yeah, I haven't tried that. I don't know, this is LOL. So hopefully, right, she took this to another level. Now, I don't know how much she knows because she holds back. YouTube won't let you do and say a lot of things, all right? But I wish she did rant because that would be great. She likes to hold to like a 30-minute, 20-minute, 30-minute format. Me, I babble. It was well put, and I left the cable segment on because that has to do with the fact that you're not going to get certain things. So let me hit the cable thing, and then we'll get it in a little bit deeper. I don't want to get super deep tonight because I'm not showing my credentials. Like usually I bring receipts. This is more conversation to get you guys pissed off and fired up. Passionate, right? So this is the MTD cable. Notice the hook, right? Hold on, do I need more light? How do I get more light on it? Right? I'm not well lit here tonight. See the hook, right? Look! See the hook? That's this new style MTD cable. It's the one where you have all of that leader, right? Sticking out. You guys have seen it. That's on all the new mowers. This is what I use a lot of times, right? I get a lot of them because those mowers come to me no good, probably more than any other mower because they're garbage. This is easy to get because they're out there. That's what's going to be out there, which is pretty much the video I just did recently about Briggs keeps changing. Briggs and MTD keeps changing crap, and these mowers are garbage. So I get, like, for, you know, that was one like, Arch, why don't you buy a fuel cap? Because, fellas, I can get all of this stuff for like the cost of a cap. I re-drill, and I'm going to make a video. I have other videos on recabling a sheath, so I save sheaths that are good, that aren't nicked, and I'll recable it with aircraft cable, and I crimp on new ends. Now, she could do that. She may be uncomfortable with doing that because of shop related. What she wants is quick and easy and reliable and no callbacks. All right, it's a different operation than my operation. People come to me because they like, I went around the corner to a place like hers, and they're like, I can't afford it. I'm like, yeah, I hear you. You know, come to daddy, let me help you out, right? Actually, I got to show you guys a little bit. I got a free machine today. Well, I wasn't free. It was free, and I may even get a customer out of this person. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, and I threw $20 to Juan to go get it for me, and we're going to look at that a little bit. Hold on. Try to get to everything here. Let's see. What timeout is an hour and 28 minutes. All right. So, and I always kill like 15 minutes because I wait for people to come. So I want to do a video on that because it should be an easy cable to buy. It's cheap. It would have worked on that Husqvarna. All you got to do is drill a hole, and you got to know how to do the setup. So there's no slack and there's no issues. It's one hole, one-time installation, and it shouldn't be a problem. And what's the difference? It's a used mower, right? What's going to happen to that used mower? The customer's going to destroy it just like they do everything else, and it'll either be back or be thrown in the garbage, in which case I'll get it, I'll take it, and I'll fix it and sell it. And probably put one of these stupid cables on it. Now, you can't always use it, but there are times, like that machine that she was working on, she could have used that cable, for sure. All right, let me catch up. Casey says, I ordered a cable for a Poland Pro, and it worked on my Husqvarna and sold it quickly. Yes. MTD, Brett says MTD, made to die. Nice, I like that. I'm going to quote you. Casey says, they use OEM to reduce light. Yeah, and I get that. And now she's having a problem. And this is why I say Husqvarna is going to kill the industry. Now, think about what she just said. Those companies, especially in these small towns, you lose 1,000 workers in a town of 7,000, you just destroyed the town, in my view, okay? So when I say that they're going to destroy the industry, all right, for those that have maybe seen some of my other videos where I talk about the World Economic Forum and the United Nations and the agenda for the 21st century, which is now it's not Agenda 21 anymore, it's now Agenda 2030. And this is what's going on in Europe, and it's here. Build Back Better is not a Biden plan. It is a UN plan. So I've talked about a lot of that. There's no such thing as left and right anymore. There's no Democrats. I used to be a Democrat. They scare me now. They're not Democrats anymore. Right? I used to be like a liberal conservative because I grew up kind of like that. And I can't be a liberal anymore. I don't think anybody in their right mind. What are you doing? You need to wake up because the part. And I wouldn't vote. I haven't voted for a Republican in years because what have they been like? The Bush dynasty with the New World Order and all of this stuff that he kept talking about. This is it. This is the 1,000 points of light, which is a Satan reference, and I don't even go. That has a lot to do with the whole black box thing. And anyway. So this is coming out of Europe and the EU, and the plan for planned destruction, effectively, of modern Western culture and business. And the reason for this, briefly, Jungle Bob says, "Who are you?" Yeah, who am I? Right? I use used parts. Yeah, whenever they're good, as long as they're good. Did they catch up? They use OEM, just like not using used parts. I use any used part that is of good quality because it's OEM. And so if that cable's good, I've checked it, it's fine, right? And for what I sell a lot of my stuff for, right? And I tell the people, I'm like, if the worst thing that's going to happen, because they'll ask me, how long will this last? Like, the key thing is how much am I going to get out of it? They don't think about the price because the price is good. It's okay, now how many years can I get, or how many seasons? And I say usually 2 or 3 without any issue, because you'll probably kill it. Now, the worst thing that'll probably happen is you'll break a cable or you'll break the pull start rope. But if you don't clean it and you put water and garbage in your tank and you don't store it right, it'll rust out, it'll die, you'll kill it, you'll run over something, you're going to kill it. And you don't change the oil, well, then it's only going to last about 3 years or 4 years or so before you destroy it. And then you leave it outside. I give them all the tips that I think that they should do to, to protect these machines if they want to listen. And if not, then who knows, right? They either come back for a tune-up a year or so later and I take care of it again, I wash it, or I don't know, they're gone. I don't know what happens to them. So Bob wants to know, who are you, right? Jungle Bob. Hey, Bob. All right, so let me get back to my rant, okay? So where this is coming from, all right? It has to do with everything today is financialized capital. That's why our money is dying. Because once you go to fiat currency, just like Rome, all right? Once you do that, you erode the value of the currency, and they know it. And it's happening at the same time, because after World War II, there was a baby boom pretty much all around the world. Now, we think of it as just being an American thing, but these baby boomers, they want their pensions. And recently in Europe, in particular in England, there was this big thing where they didn't have the money for the pensions and some of the other services as well. And they finagled a way of doing it. What they do is they print more money and they steal from other places. And that only makes the problem worse. It devalues the money even more. So they know 2 things. These people are going to want their pensions, they're going to want their retirement, they're going to want their 401k. They want these people dead, and they don't have the money to handle it, and the money is worthless to begin with. So that's what the CBDC, or the central bank digital currency, and it's out, it's here. It started in June here, right, for the United States. There's the world digital currency. They have kiosks, and they're actually running a special. Well, they'll give you $2,000 a month, the universal basic income. All you have to do is sign in blood and put your eye into the kiosk, and they take all your biometrics. And once you do that, they own you. They own you, right? So this is all part of the plan. Now, why did they destroy Germany's industrial might? They just did that. They're literally almost done, right? They got rid of all of the nuclear power plants. They got rid of the natural gas. This is the war in Ukraine. They're destroying every Western culture. They're done with it, because the financialized capital system is coming to an end. Every so many decades this occurs. For us, it occurred in the 70s, right, with Bretton Woods. After the war, there was Bretton Woods #1 in Bretton Woods, Virginia. They put us on the gold standard because we helped to win this, quote, war. We had the industrial might. They backed it by gold, just like the BRICS nations are going to do right now. That's all of the countries that are not westernized. And they start all over again. And they did Bretton Woods 2 when they took us off the gold standard. They went to a fiat currency. And they did a Bretton Woods 3, which I forget when that was. It was like 80s or something like that. They're done. Okay, there's nothing left. So we're not. It's not climate change. It's not we're running out of resources. We're running out of money, and that's why they're buying and spending all this money and shipping all this stuff to Ukraine, which is winding up in Africa. Right? They're doing it because it's a transfer of wealth. The last little bit before the big change again, when everything re-zeros, and it's backed by companies like BlackRock and Goldman Sachs and all of these. They're the ones that take capitalism to a completely new dimension. It is capitalism gone mad, right? And they financialize everything with credit and debt and garbage currency, and that's where it is. And so they've taken the Western world to the point we're at, and many of us have enjoyed that lifestyle, and now they're destroying it because there is nowhere left to go with it. They see other countries, what they call emerging markets, which used to be called third world countries. They see them as the new frontier, the new horizon. That's where the new middle classes are going to be built up. And Husqvarna is part of that, okay? So either you'll see companies closing up, like Husqvarna comes in, buys up a number of locations, or just settles in someplace, and then runs for a little while, puts other companies out of business with non-competitive, situations, and then they leave. This is not unlike Walmart or Home Depot coming to town and putting all of the little hardware stores and all the small guys literally out of business. It's just on a much larger scale. And so what you're going to see is they're going to pull out of the market. For what? For imaginary electric robotic lawnmowers that, since we're already going broke, none of us can afford. I can't buy a lawnmower like that. I don't have that kind of money to buy some robotic. I don't even have a credit card with enough balance on it to go and buy. And they know this, right? So they know this. They want everything electric. And the thing is it's not going to happen because they're not going to be able to make enough of it. When they start to sell it, it's going to have all these fire hazards. Insurance companies are going to raise your rates. They may not even give you insurance. In fact, I got to start thinking now about a metal cabinet for my battery stuff because it's fucking dangerous. Okay? I mean, I can have a gas can sitting in here for decades. The gas will go bad. It doesn't go on fire by itself. But these things will. You can unplug them and they can still short out. This stupid phone can do that and set everything in here on fire, including the cars, which can't be put out. It takes 30,000 gallons or something like that, enough of a swimming pool to just cool it. And then, of course, once you wet the battery, it just makes it more unstable. So they have no plan. They're going to wipe out every company, essentially. And you know where they're going to go? They're going to go to other countries. They're not going to be employing anybody here. And they've been working on this for a very long time. Since I was young, I've been watching the hollowing out of the United States. So they've now escalated all of this in Germany and all of the other countries that were making things. And Germany was like, it was the industrial hub of the European Union. They just destroyed it. Even BASF left, and they opened up in China. Without BASF, you can't even have some of the coatings for the screen. Like, you won't have. So China and countries like this is going to be the beneficiaries of all of this great wealth transfer. And what they want for us is to eat the effing bugs and to live in 15-minute cities. And it's already, you talk to the people in like Great Britain, right, in the UK, they're already trying to shove that down their throats. Hey, we're going to make a nice little 15-minute city. You won't need a car. You can ride your bike. It'll be real nice. Yeah, an open-air prison. So Husqvarna is just another European company that's towing the line for this EU, WEF, UN garbage. They're another company that's come to the United States, and their practices, they will put everything out of business in short order. And losing that amount of real estate in the United States in these towns, that's just going to destroy the towns. It's going to make it harder for us to do anything in this industry. And I don't see any other way around it until people wake the F up and realize that they're going to destroy the America you knew, and it's happening as you speak. Let me catch up. Who are you? Says, just messing with you. Price point is key, but think about longevity. Yeah, right? It's just a swap, Bob says. Yeah, the DeWalt thing at the Equipment Expo. Yeah, burn, baby, burn. Yeah. They're not safe. They don't really work. They're not practical. You have to, slave, like she said, slave labor. Yeah, absolutely. Slave labor. Look into it. It's even been going on with this stuff, right? Because there's a reason for why all the material in here, right, the stuff that they want for these batteries, they call them rare earths for a reason. Because they're rare. Because you have to dig up a huge ton of dirt to get at this stuff, and then you have to use toxic chemicals and expensive mining practices and expensive production practices, all of which you cannot power by any, quote, renewable resource. I mean, China's not doing anything with the Kyoto protocols or any of this climate change nonsense, right? They're not ascribing to any of it. They put new coal power plants up and natural gas plants, and because they know it's bullshit. And if they were, I mean, they must be looking at the West in the destruction of the West and just probably going, wow, this is a blessing for us, because finally we have an opportunity to grab the resources of the world and lift ourselves up and do what they did, which they're now destroying. And now we can have that lifestyle or something like it. Except, well, they're communists and they're going to try to control it, and the people are doing better, yes, but they're never going to have the freedom that we once enjoyed, that even right now is slipping away. So that's the reality of this, and it's happening very fast, and it doesn't take too many companies like that before you're not going to be worried about a cable, right? I don't even know what to do with it. You're not going to be worried about a cable. I mean, these cheap lawnmowers that Depot is selling, they were like $100 and change, just under $200. For a push lawnmower, it's over $300 and a quarter. And that's the price of this kind of modernization in the world today, where everything is outsourced. So it won't matter that you can't build anything here, because you won't be able to buy anything here, because the days of surplus and cheap are over. And these Weffers say it, that they're like, abundance is over. You don't get to have it anymore. We say so. So it gets me fired up, because it's already happening. I remember, like I said, at the beginning of the lockdowns and everything, I was like, this isn't good, this is bad. They're going to pull a stunt, and you're going to see, you're not going to be able to own shit. And wait till the interest rates go up and the taxes go up. You will, in many cases, the average person, let's say you made $50,000 a year and you brought home $1,000 a week, and you took 30% taxes out, that's $700. It's now over 50, and the money is devalued. Your money is worth half of what it was just 5 years ago, because your money is being devalued, and between the money and the prices of everything doubling, 20%, 30%, 40%, right? In some cases 200%. So that's my rant, right? I want to get to some of the other cool shit. Let's see. DeWalt thing, yeah. Bleach says, I don't like electronics. Mowers use my gas snappers, rear engine as long as you can. And you want to try to keep them going and in good shape to get whatever parts. Somebody said to me recently that, I think they wrote on one of my snapper vids, they were like, watching your video, blah, blah, blah. Somebody offered me a used snapper for $100. It's just got a couple of things wrong with it. Do you think it's worthy? Yeah, absolutely. Buy it, because at least it's a parts mower for your machine. So I told the guy, I said, I'd buy it. I mean, unless it's a complete wreck, but absolutely buy an extra mower for $100. You know, nice snapper mower like that. There's got to be plenty of parts on there that you can use. And because some of the stuff for the snappers is actually discontinued. Yeah, some of it is, unfortunately. But with the backup machine, right, you got parts. Parts is parts. Let's see. Island says, up here in Maine, they are cutting down the forest to put up solar farms. Yeah, what a joke, right? It's green, right? Well, it's not green, because it was sourced from resources that they claim are rare, right, to make this stuff. In about 10 years, it won't work, and they don't know how to get rid of it. They don't know how to recycle it. So it's going to wind up in a dump. And meanwhile, and then they're worried about this carbon nonsense, which carbon is a minute gas. We're all made of carbon. If you reduce the carbon enough on this planet, everything dies. So you're cutting down trees, which are the Earth's natural carbon sink, and make oxygen to put. You'd have to put so many solar panels. This is this weird, and this, you know what this is about? It's about money. And who makes the solar panels? China. They get to make the money. They sell it to us. Our dum-dums put this stuff up, right? Does it have value? Sure. Solar panels themselves, it's a great technology. You don't make baseline power with something like that unless you like a lot of blackouts or no power at night or on rainy days or snowy days. So it's such a farce, and it's expensive, and it's about wealth transfer. This government has set aside, just through some of these green initiatives, about like $1 trillion for this nonsense. Whether it works or not and solves the quote problem, which is invented to create this, doesn't matter, because somebody is going to be on the receiving end of that $1 trillion or whatever it is, whatever it winds up being. Somebody's going to be making a lot of money. And that's really what it's about. It's about money. And I don't know, whatever the hell else they're thinking, they're not thinking clearly. They don't care. Because most of the people that are involved in this at the top, they don't even live anywhere near where we live. They don't live like we live. They're sheltered. They have no clue of what's going on. They just think this is all fun and they can make a lot of money for their investors. Yeah, see, Bleach says, solar is good idea. We need forests, no reason to cut. That's right. And solar is fine, like for certain things. Like I say here where I live, there's a lot of density of homes. Well, instead of cutting down trees and putting them somewhere, why don't you put them on everybody's roof here? We already have problems with power. They put a cross-sound cable to Connecticut. And do you know, when we had a blackout for over 2 weeks during Hurricane Sandy, they refused to turn it on because it might hurt the fishes. This is the craziness of the EPA and these other organizations. They've gotten to a point where this has become a sickness, right? So you're going to starve everybody on the island for power. I mean, we were carrying cans. They said, oh, you could only have 2 5-gallon cans. And then you got to wait online, and then you can go back, and if you have a generator. I had these 2 crappy generators. I had lines running over there to my neighbor, a line running into the house out here, and everybody was taking turns to go and stand in line for gas, right? They could have turned the power line on. They wouldn't do it. They spent all that money to install it. Huge fortune to put a power cable. They built years ago, right? Lilco built a nuclear reactor out here in Shoreham, and they turned it on, right? They turned it on knowing that they were not going to get a license to run it because the EPA and all these other stupid tree hugger groups were freaking out, right? And they turned it on knowing, because they wanted the payment and they needed that payment, knowing that they were never going to be able to use it, and that the ratepayer for the rest of eternity was going to pay for that stupid thing. And it didn't make an ounce of power because now it's radioactive, and now you can't do anything else with it and the property, and it has to remain there. And they fucked us bad. So we have some of the highest electric rates in the nation, and we needed the power. And that was their solution. They said, too cheap to meter. Now it's too expensive to even turn a light bulb on. This is the stunts they play. So I have no faith. I was watching something on Facebook the other day, and there was this stupid argument about the border crisis, right? And this one guy goes, "There's no border crisis," and he starts quoting stuff from the government. And I'm thinking to myself, what is wrong with this man? Does he actually believe, like, the government doesn't lie, right? Government statistics are always accurate. Meanwhile, if you actually look around and find out what's going on, what was it? Was it Boston or Maine or whatever? They declared an emergency, right? My governor declared an emergency. And this guy's quoting some government statistics on Facebook trying to tell somebody else that, well, I got this, what do you got? What planet are you living in? Like, it's just bizarre, right? People like really need to wake up. I think some people, like, they just don't know. Okay, so you don't know. This guy is like literally contaminated and distorted in his brain. It's like, do you not know what's happening? No, he doesn't know. Yeah, trees do. They don't help with oxygen. They make it. They take carbon. That's photosynthesis. It's part of it. They breathe in carbon dioxide effectively, and they convert it to oxygen. Okay, so that's how we can breathe, and that's how they breathe. Right? The whole planet is designed. It's a closed system, and a lot of people will tell you that the resources are finite. In a way, in human terms, to some degree, right? Because we don't live long. but the planet still makes oil. The second largest volume of liquid on this planet, second to water, is oil. It's in everything, and everything makes it. It's part of the carbon cycle. Everything makes it. We make it. It's in us. It's in insects. It's in trees. It's literally everywhere. And the planet keeps making it. There is so much oil in the ground. Sitting outside of the UK is a tremendous amount of oil in the ocean. They won't touch it. There's natural gas. They won't touch it. Even here, right? I mean, Trump was starting to touch it and use it and sell it. We had more power than we needed. We had more energy than we could use. We were selling it. Now we can barely keep the lights on. We don't have it. And the attitude with these people is, well, we'll just so what? It's more expensive. We'll get it from somewhere else. Well, those people can afford it, but we can't. I mean, you go to California, you got $7 gas. Let's see, farms powering themselves with cow poop. There's a lot of things you can use for energy. But it has to be an energy positive. It can't be like, you don't grow corn to make alcohol to put in cars, right? That's an energy negative. It's something like, I forget what the stats on that, but it takes more energy to do that than what you gain. So, and not to mention that you're using farmland that could be used to feed human beings and cattle and other animals, right, as part of the food chain. So now you've removed it to make alcohol to stick in a car for marginal increases in reduction in emissions, and at the same time it destroys a lot of the induction systems. We know it destroys carburetors, but these induction systems have to now be redesigned, otherwise they rot out, and that's expensive. So it increases the cost of the car, increases the cost of the fuel, and it really does very little, very, very little. Well, it oxygenates the gas. No, it doesn't. It's a knock reducer. No, if you made better gasoline, you wouldn't need it. You really don't. You don't really need a knock additive. If the gasoline's in good shape, the octane is enough. You don't need toxic chemicals as knock additives either. They put lead in because that was an aviation thing, and that was a deal that Rockefeller worked out. And even during World War II, Rockefeller was and Standard Oil was selling those additives to the Germans to shoot at us and the people in the UK and everywhere else. I mean, the corruption is just unbelievable. All right, I want to get to, ethanol gas free is expensive only because of the taxes. You know, thanks to your legislators in your state and your federal government. That's the only reason. They'll make things more expensive to reduce their use. And it's happening even in housing. Right? People are not going to be able to continue to buy homes. Like, I don't know if my daughter will ever be able to afford to buy a home. If I don't find a way to give her this one, because they're $500,000 with really high interest rates, high taxes. That's ridiculous. I didn't pay anything like that for this house. And this is all over the place. And see, bleachers, I started using True Fuel in my weed eater. Yeah, it is good. It's because it's a better, refined, balanced product. And you could use that in all kinds of things, but it's expensive, right? It doesn't have to be, but it is. But it's well refined, right? It's an actual fuel. It's not gasoline. It's actually a fuel. All right, what do I want to do? I want to show you guys. All right, I'm done with my rant. I'm trying to light this cigarette now. It's the same one. I light it, I take a drag, I put it in my little, I got this little thing here. Like, you can clip a butt. And that way I don't, smoke too much. Just like keep smoking the same one for a little while. All right, I want to show you guys some stuff. All right, hold on, I have more fun. More fun. All right, check this thing out. Now, I want to tell you guys this story. Hold on, let's see, I got to set it up. Should I put it over here? Yeah, maybe I'll put it over here. And I'll turn this monitor on. So, let's see. Now, on the thumbnail, right, if you guys saw the thumbnail, is this rototiller, which is made by MTD. It's got to be like 1974. I want to say the oldest it could be is 74, and maybe before 80, maybe 80. Let's take a look. Okay, let's check this thing out. And I will show the thumbnail first. And I got to turn on the audio. Now, let's take a closer look at it, right? And we're going to do a will it run real quick and see if this motor runs. Now, the machine's broken, and I'll show you. I'll make a video on it. Let's see. Let's do... let's see. Yeah, exactly. Bleach. Back when MTD made... They still make okay stuff, but remember now, they're under the gun just, from all of this nonsense going on, right? So we can't completely blame them. All right, let's do desktop audio. Hey, fellas. So look what my got. Right? As my daughter used to say when she was a kid. Daddy, look what my got. So this is very similar to a unit I sold a bunch of years ago that I found at the dump. The one I found was a nice Sears with the reverse and a shifter and the multiple speeds. I am so sorry I got rid of that one. Oh, this is a nice machine. They're listing it as a 5 horsepower, 3600 RPM. It's got the magnetron in it, right? So this is, I don't know what the date is. We'll get in deeper, but the one I had, it was at the dump. The motor was dead. There was another motor laying next to it. I made one motor out of the two, and the model I had points. So when they started coming out with the magnetron was about 74. Okay, so in 74 they said, well, all right, we'll call it the magnetron. We'll put it all into the ignition module. We'll change the motor a little bit. And they started advertising because it didn't have any points in it. So we'll get in closer in a minute. But this was a really nice machine made by MTD. They call it a service star. We have everything on it. This was in basically garage kept, but I can tell you there's some issues with the tines, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. The fuel smells like gack. Now, I'm not going to restore it today. I'm not going to work on it really today, but we are going to tinker with it and clean it and then lubricate the hell out of a bunch of places, and then I can put it away for the year. So that's my goal, right, for today. So I got this for free, and which is kind of cool, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as well on the live stream. And I sent my buddy Juan over, and it threw him some money to pick this thing up. And I think this person, very nice couple, I think they may be interested in the one I just finished, which let's go get a sneak peek at that in a minute. Let's get in closer and take a nice look at it. Nice, good, close look. All right, let's see. All right, so quick story is I had to go pee. This lady, I think she's British. So she hit me up on one of my ads, and she starts asking me about, can I fix these things? She's got a couple of machines, this being one of them, older machines. And I talked to her like right away. I hit it back right away. I said, send me some more pics. She did at some point. I responded right away. I gave her some information and just like basic prices, because a lot of things can go wrong with this old stuff, right? You guys know. But I like old stuff. And she disappeared. Actually, she has the same first name as my ex-wife. Yeah, I ain't gonna say anything else. But one says she's attractive. She's married, so forget that. I didn't say that. Juan said that. Juan. Anyway, because I responded to her and I was polite and everything, she hits me up like the other day and she goes, I'm going to try to get rid of it. I don't want anything for it. I want to give you first crack since you were so nice and you responded right away and you were so, whatever the word was. I was like, huh? Like, oh my God, it's a nice person. Nice person in the world alert, right? So I was just chatting about it with her and about Juan, and I'm like, well, I'll throw you a couple of bucks, Juan. He didn't even want to take any money. Like I had because I always give him stuff. He's always helping me. I help him, right? So I gave him a few bucks. All right, now let's go a little further into it and you'll see, all right? But let's have some fun because like I want to make a video of this, but you guys are getting a preview and hopefully you like this thing. It's kind of cool. Let's see. Now let me catch up. Let's see. True Fuel. We sell the fuel at work. Brett says $7. Bleach says $7 a can. Where I am. Bleach says, back when MTD made. Yep. Bleach says, I had a 1999 MTD yard machine, was my first rider. Yeah, they were pretty good back then. Brett says, Magnetron was around 1980 or 81. Yeah, because they stopped calling it that, right? Because they didn't need to, because they were like the sticker on the side, right? That was all about telling everybody electronic ignition is here, no more points fussing around. And you don't have to worry about the points, because, I don't know, some people just didn't like points. I think points work really well, but I get it. Electronic ignition is nice. And you can change the design of the motor, and it's actually easier to service. And yeah, we all know. So they made a big deal of it for like a number of years. And like now, you know, they don't list that. They don't. It's not a selling point anymore, you know, is what I'm trying to say. Let's say, thought they stopped points in Briggs in 84. No, it was way earlier, 73. 73, 74, everybody stopped. And Tecumseh, everybody was like, nope, we're going to change. Yeah, and they were around forever. Like I said, they don't call it that, but if you look up in the literature, they still, technically speaking, that's what they call it. It's a magneto system, the earlier stuff, and so this is called the magnetron. It's like back in the 50s, everything was like atomic and jet in the 60s. Like 50s was kind of like jet, but not quite. It was like atomic, like the atomic this and the atomic that, and then it was like more like the 60s. It was like jet, and then it was like rocket, you know. So like everything was like motif, right? So, and then 70s, late 70s, mid 70s to early 80s is the beginning of like the true electronic age, you know. Like 80s, 90s and 2000s was microprocessor control. In the like later 70s and 80s, it was like transistors, right? You know, it's got 5 transistors in it. Wow, and they're like this big. They're like this big, almost the size of tubes, right? So it's this nomenclature, right? They sell on it. All right, let me get back to it, because this thing's kind of cool. I believe this was stored inside. And the pictures I saw, and Juan will tell you, there's a smaller garage, you know, detached garage on the property. Nice property on a dead end, you know, out of the way. And I think the woman is actually British, and I think she married an American. And I had talked with them a little bit about fixing some of the stuff that they have, and I gave them some prices, and I was, you know, pretty detailed and a good response. And she said, well, because you were so honest and, you know, fast forward and immediate, you know, why don't you just take it? You can have it. I'm like, what? So out of the kindness, and I think I have a deal for them, because from, you know, we'll talk about this in the live, but from a conversation I had with Juan and Juan had with them, yeah, I might have another one. So I think the first thing we'll do is we'll pull the fuel out. It stinks. It stinks to high heaven. I like these motors. This is the Pulsar jet. And not the Pulse jet, it's a Pulsar jet carburetor. I'm over here in the shade, fellas, so the light isn't all that great. It's getting hot. It's getting real hot. I don't gotta tell you fellas about that. Some of you had it even worse. Yeah, see, the tines are going to be stuck, and we'll get a little closer look in a minute. I think I'm going to get out the pressure washer and clean all this off, and then it'll dry quick today. Don't you love this? Look, it's even got the anodize on it. I guess somebody bought a new one. Sometimes you get shocks from these. Put your foot on it. Let's pull the gas, right? And then we'll take a peek underneath in a minute. I think I'm going to put some two-stroke fuel in here. A little bit of two-stroke, about 10, 12, 20 ounces of two-stroke in it. Try to suck that in and see what it does. Oh, that's a good sign, fellas. Yeah. Oh, it's pretty clean, too. Like, my finger didn't disappear when I stuck it in there. Let me smell. The taste of it is pretty good. It's definitely got lubricity. So that's a good sign. We don't see any major leaks. You know, these things don't get used much. So, I mean, they do have a hard life when they are used. Just another peek down there. Like I said, I'll turn it on its butt in a bit. I wanted to check the oil before I did that. All right, now I'll pull the gas out. Duh. Yeah, it's like not sweet crude. Yeah, that's old, but there's no water. There was a little debris, and it got stuck in the tube, but I put an angle on the tube. That helps. I forgot to do that. I kind of just trimmed the tube recently, and this whole got a little clog. But it can't be all that bad because there's no water in this gas. Right. This is mostly high octane two-stroke, fresh, and with some gas. So it's 10 ounces, and then I mixed a little bit of regular gas in there as well. So it's like 3/4 two-stroke with 1/4 fresh gas. So let that drink in. We'll pull the plug and the air cleaner off next. Yeah, this ain't the right plug. Let's get the right plug. So she would burn a little rich. Alright, so the history is that it was running, but it was losing power when you dumped the clutch and you put it into the dirt. So let's get the correct plug in there. Oh, wow, fellas. Somebody showed a little bit of love. Alright, we're going to spill some two-stroke in that. But first, we're going to put some of my magic sauce in there. Alright, a little bit in here too, just to loosen things up. Throttle shaft. Everything looks good here, fellas. Alright, that's my magic tranny sauce, because it's dry. So, oh, nice. Yeah, let's give it some more love. We'll just make it smoke. Yeah, she's going good. Put a little bit on the starter too, because this is that with the balls and everything. Maybe some of that will go in where it needs to be. Maybe, probably not. Let's check for spark. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to see it. It's set to fast, and it seems to be working, kinda. It seems to be. It's a plastic one, so that's why I say it's probably closer to 80s. But that might be the kill. I don't know. You know, there is no kill on the carburetor. The kill is up here. And also with the taller plug, we'll be better off. So let's see. I don't know. Let me get the plug. It's going to be hard to see. This is so old school. I love it. Yeah, I should see that. Yep. Oh yeah, beauteous spark. Alright, let's bolt this in. We'll dump some two-smoke. Yeah, let me put some two-smoke in the hole as well. Because although the other stuff will kind of light, it's not going to light as good as this will. Alright, let me tighten that up. We'll be right back. And we'll see if we can run it off of the two-stroke in this bottle. Right? You see a little bit of yuck over there. This is a little bit deteriorated. May have to replace it or just put heat shrink on it. Alright, all set. Now usually when gas gets like that, it's going to gum everything. So that's what you might find. Alright, we're going to set it about mid-throttle. show you. Let me show you. Runs good. Wow, she runs good. All right, so she's basically garbage. I'm glad I didn't spend that much on it. I wonder if this would even fit on Mikey's mini bike. I don't know. That tank is huge. It is a good 5 horsepower. We could take it off and see, since I have it set up already. Let me pull the guard off, right? Because you're not going to get another one of these. Whatever's going on in there, you're not going to get parts for it. Most likely, it's beat. You'd have to make a bearing or a bushing. And by the way, that might be repairable. That might actually be a thing. So let's pull the cover off and see what's in there. All right, hold on. So before I continue, I want to catch up. Yeah, it runs great. Like this, I love doing Willet runs, and it was worth the money that I spent on it. Because, well, first of all, I love these old engines. I love these old machines. This motor, I mean, I've been going through a lot of those newer 6 horsepower overhead valve Briggs, right? They don't run good. They have crap throttle response. They always have this weird miss sound to it. They kind of shake, like they don't. They vibrate a bit, and you know, they're okay. Like them, the way they're built, they're definitely made to run at 1 RPM, right? Like a pump or something simple like that. What is that? Let's see there. Hold on. It's just shiny. It almost looks like something's running down the battery compartment of my camera. I'm like, no, battery leak in camera's bad. It's gonna explode. Look out! Anyway. Let me not say that. This motor runs so good. This has not been started in a long time. I mean, look at that gas, right? It's like crude gas. It's like crude oil. It stinks too. It's in here with a cap on it. It's nasty. But this thing, you'll see. I'm going to tweak it a little bit. But I'm going to show you. I'm going to take a little closer look, and I'm going to show you, Bleach, why you can't use this thing. All right, that's what I thought about it. I just mentioned it because I actually have Mikey's mini bike right over there. Right, and I'm working on that. I'm working on another Tecumseh motor setup for it, and eventually I'll come out with that video. That's a Willet run as well. But it's just such a nice. I mean, they made it so well, right? And the proof of that is, well, look, and it's a completely tunable, adjustable carburetor. So you have that. So, which I'm going to fool with, and you're going to see I'll sweeten it up just a little bit. Let me show you the rest of it. Let me go back through. So listen to it per. Brett says listen to it per. Bleach started off with, there's a movie from the 80s called Can't Buy Me Love with a snapper that rides off in the sunset. That's awesome. Yeah, Brett says it purrs. Yeah, totally. Big says, wow, runs great mini bike engine. No, we'll get to that. There's no miss. Steady as a clock. I know. And you know what? It's not even tuned. I cleaned the plug. The tank has some debris in it, like I mentioned. I tried to shoot it and film it with the little camera, the little guy. I don't know if I got the footage for that or not. It's not in this. But there is a bit of debris in the bottom. You know, we can deal with that. We can fix that. It hasn't sucked it up. I mean, I ran it again after this, and I'm going to run it again tomorrow. Worst case, there's no holes. There was no water in that gas. So tank sealer, you know, it's a candidate, right? Totally clean out the tank if it looks, you know, a little bit raunchy or whatever. Tank sealer. So I like that video that Tarrell did on the tank sealer, right? I don't have that product. I want to try it. He does a nice process. It gets everything nice, and it's just, I think the tank, I mentioned this on the Sears Custom, I think that tank, it's got this white something or other in there. It's not paint. It could be tank sealer. And it's still there. So, and there's no rot. So yeah, good for a log splitter, Brett says. Brett says, bolt the pump on it, make a custom pressure washer. It should be yes, it is a 3/4 key shaft. Yeah, well, yep, I'm willing to bet it is. Yes, it'd be very good pump motor. Oh yeah, yeah, and I like doing that too. Is I actually have some, and I have another pump pressure washer that's pretty decent. I forget the name of it. Yet again, another one of those OHVs, because that was really common. But this is a sweet motor, and I have an OHV on the pressure washer that I use, and I don't know if I released that video yet. I don't think I did. It's uploaded, and I had some issues with the replacement carburetor from HIPAA, and I told them about it, and you're going to see it. I did a short on that too, and I have a fix for it. But this is the kind of crap we run into, which is another conversation, and it's not to beat up HIPAA because they're one of the better offshore manufacturers. Somebody else I know recently was complaining about it because they couldn't get anywhere. Oh, one of the fellas wrote me on, I did a video a while back on that, speaking of pressure washers, that Tiander Mr. Leanne's electric pressure washer. And fella picked it up, and he's had problems with it. The problem is that I think I don't know if it was that company, it was another company. And the problem is, yeah, it wasn't Tiander. It was basically an electric pressure washer, and he can't. They don't have anybody that speaks English properly, and they don't understand what the hell he's saying. Something came loose and it caused a problem, and he has issues with it, and it's not working. So you know, what the hell's good is something you just buy money, even if it's cheap, and it doesn't work, and you have problems, and you call the company, and they're like, because they don't understand what the hell you're saying. Yeah, I do like HIPAA, and they work with me, and the people that I work with there, they try. I'm in their Facebook group. They do run promotions. They actually have people in this country that work with the customers in this country. They can talk, you know, the language and all that, and they can handle stuff. They're very responsive, but they do have some issues. Yeah, on occasion. But you know what? Even the OEMs today, right? You know, you'll pay a lot. And I've said this a number of times, like I can get a HIPAA carburetor cheap for like $20 or so. Go buy an OEM, it's over $100. And the problem is, for a lot of the stuff that I do that's not for customer repair, right? I can't bury that charge. Nobody will buy. If I go and fix a lawnmower and I want to sell it, I can't put a $100 carburetor on it. I can't put that price on there. First of all, I wouldn't make any money, end of story. Not just on the carburetor, like I wouldn't make any money. Nobody will buy it, especially now, right? Remember, I'm low man on the totem pole. So everybody that's getting the squeeze now is looking at me and going, I don't want to spend any money on more. Like, you know, just shit travels downhill and it sits in my lap. So let's go further. Let's go on. Because I really dig this thing. I might be able to fix it. And, you know, I want to say, like, I'll repeat this probably later, but I've been looking at like used lathes and mill presses and stuff, and I don't have the money, but this is exactly a scenario where you don't need like a big Bridgeport, but you need something that can turn bushings and bearings and slots and grooves and on the smaller stuff that we like to work on, and even some of the even bigger stuff. You can also make things that you need, including certain tools and adapters, and you know, you can generally work up to, I want to say for some of the smaller stuff, just a guess, 3 inches. All right, something about 3 inches. And most of the stuff that we're working with is 3/4 holes, which means that the stock is going to be bigger than 3/4. You might have to cut a groove in something. Well, if you're cutting a groove in something and the piece is only this big, the traversing table on even a small turret mill press, right, is going to be enough for that. You know, and even if you had to re-index it and move it around the other way. And the lathe, as long as you can get like a 3 and a 4 chuck lathe, which is on a lot of the smaller units, you can locate stuff and turn it and spin it. So if there was a bearing and a bushing, blow it out in this thing, and even a gear, because none of these gears are helically cut or anything, they're just gears. Like on that snowblower gear thing that I did this winter. That's just a simple piece of bronze or brass, and it's bored, it's keyed, which is done on a milling machine and a lathe, and then you need to cut the gears. You could do it on a lathe, but it's easier if you do it on an indexer on your mill press. And you could cut simple gears. Just do the math and set the thing up right and cut the gear. Now, for stuff that you can't get, okay, I mean, this is a cool machine as a project to do to build your skills for stuff that you can't get. If you can buy it, great. But if you can't buy it, and I wouldn't be surprised if MTD, I was thinking about it, if I can get the model number off of it, they might even have it, fellas. Let me show you what it is. Casey says, I use HIPAA if I can, but they don't do carburetors for riders other than Kohler. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't used one. Is that right? I haven't used any of that. There's still stuff that they're not making. That I can tell you from looking at their catalog. And I keep getting on them for not having their online catalog, you know, in terms of a better layout. I'm like, this business of, like, some of the stuff, they might have one. And the only reason I say that is, like, sometimes you have to search Amazon for a HIPAA carburetor part or something, or some part. I'm like, why isn't it on your website? They're like, we're working on it. You know, they're small, right? And you have to pay people to do that. I'm like, why am I searching Amazon for one of your things? I should just... And then the package numbers. This is my other big beef, right? The package number... You look on the package number and it's all these numbers that are on it, they're routing numbers internally. There's nothing I can use. I can't even call my rep and go, I want this number. They're like, we don't know what that is. You have to go to like Amazon or our website and try to find it and give us that number. I'm like, what? I don't know if they've solved that, but that's been going on for the past year. I mean, I haven't talked to them recently. So, but for the price, and I can usually fix most of the stuff that goes wrong, unless if it's a total piece of junk. All right, let's keep going, because this is, I get a kick out of this stuff. Now here's the one I was thinking about selling, but of course now I can't, right? Because I still need one of these. But this is the one that you're getting a preview on. And I dug this one out just in case to take some pictures of it. So this one's going to be up on the channel real soon. Typical problems with the overhead valve engines on these 5 horsepowers. That's just what they do. They pull water in, and I'll show you all of that. And valves get stuck, things get damaged. But overall, I went over the whole thing. The only thing I don't like is I was able to get the outer tines free, but I cannot get anything else going. And you know, I threw out another one of these transmissions, which might have worked, but the axles were so damaged. So the outer tines come, and what I do is I left the pins out of the inner tines, and I lubricated them as much as I could. The thing is, if you heat them, you run the risk of burning out the seals on the end of that transmission. So you can't swap the tines, but you know what, I got them all sharp, everything is good, it worked really well, and I'm very happy with it. It's just not a particularly nice machine. It's the newest style machines. So let's see what happens. So that was the one I was just ranting on about, right? This motor. This motor, the valve got stuck open, and I will release this video soon. And yeah, Case, I'll show you. I'll show you what it is. No, they don't know what they have, and it's impossible for us to find that crap. A couple of bolts, nice beefy cover. I don't know if some of the bolts are missing or not, but a couple of bolts hold it on. Now, one of the things you can check, and you can see here, look at it. Look at this. This is just. Oh, I think I caught it. Right, it was just wobbling like crazy. See? So when it comes out, it wobbles. But when you shove it in, now I think what happened is this should be turning that shaft. So something came apart, and this bearing might be beat, and it could have damaged. There's a chain in here. Now another thing you can look at is this was a little stuck, but it should spin this, and these should spin. And I'll show you on the other machine too in a minute. So we see what's going on here. Let me get you in for a closer look. So here's a peek at this. So fortunately, all of this is all bolted together, so you could take it apart. MTD might have this part. There's a tag on the machine, but I can't read it. Now let me show you up here. See? And then when you shove it in, right, it's okay, but it probably either stripped the gear or maybe even lost the gear. Now the other thing I wanted to mention is that no, we can't use this on a mini bike because that shaft is not long enough. And there's just no way. All right, that's not going to work. All right. So it's a shorter shaft design, and there's no way we can, because this is just an example of a mini bike clutch. So what I'm going to do is a little bit later, we're going to pull this motor off, and I'm going to put it aside because it's a good motor. And that way, see, we could see here, here's the other side of that. So it might be restorable, and there's a tag down here. I'm going to have to bring this inside so I can read that tag. Or wait till it gets a little darker over here and get the magnifying glass out. And try to write that down. But we have something to work with. Yeah, like I said, I'll pull this motor and I'll put it in a shed or something. We don't want to leave it out. I'll have to store the biggest part of the machine out until like next year or so. But one of the problems is that you would never want to leave a machine like this, right, where you just didn't take care of it. When you're done using your machine, because they sit forever, you have to clean everything off and then get this all clean, get it deloused, and then lubricate in here and any of the, the points that would require lubrication, because these are stuck, these pins are stuck, right, and they're supposed to be able to come off easy. There should be grease applied to the shaft, and it just isn't, and then stuff gets wrapped around. But it does look like it's in good shape, like it's not loose there. So if they haven't, if the people haven't completely borked it, then we'll be fine. So here's how I do mine. So this has all been cleaned off after I was done using it. And I'll put a little bit more oil in this while it's out here, and also put a little penetrant here. But this was filthy, of course. I just rinse it with the hose and clear any gack out of the way. And then I put a little oil on it, I let it drip a little bit, and then I shove it away. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually re-oil this now and go put it away because I need it. So I would have sold it, and maybe even to the people that gave me this thing, for 20 bucks. It's definitely worthy of a motor. I mean, we have a nice 5 horsepower motor, old school motor, that it didn't even blow smoke, fellas. I mean, you didn't even see, even with the 2-stroke in it. And by tossing it around a little bit, it'll, that 2-stroke is all over the tank. It's in the carburetor, it's in the engine. So I'm real comfortable with putting this away. I may give it a quick wash before, maybe with the pressure washer or something. Maybe we'll clean around here. We'll see. I don't know, it looks like it's going to rain, so I don't know what's going to happen. It's getting darker now, the sun went away, and it's just all like, overcast now, and it just feels pukey and humid. But see, there's a little bit of blue sky over there. I have other things to do. Worst case is I'll put a bag over it or something. Look, here's my niece. Oh, see? My. And here's my daughter. Everybody always knows her. And look, there they are. And doggy. But
subscribe, like, comment, and hit that bell to receive notifications.
Say that again.
Yeah.
Yeah, say that
saying it
again. Well, he's playing with the ball. Aw.
He's like, wait, this is mine.
Yeah.
I got him a toy.
No, I want to see some tinkering.
Well, what are you
I got him
doing?
a toy.
Dad
Right?
never tinkered.
I managed to get stuff in before. All right, this is something else, yeah.
So this is from that Takumi.
All right, hold on. Let me go show you. I'm going to show you the Takumi. This is a HIPAA carburetor.
Okay, so I started off, let's turn it on.
And it's for a 10 horsepower.
In here. And let's just see, put a little bit of, actually, maybe she's not sucking fuel.
It won't run right.
Real good. Large enough, but she's running pretty good.
Yeah, that's they have them. That's actually for the Green Rider. One of the problems I had with that Takumi 10 horsepower is it just would not run really smooth. And that is a replacement for a 10 horsepower Tecumseh. And the problem with it is the motor itself had the valve damage and a bunch of other things, which I did a lot of the repairs on that. So anybody that wants to go look at those, there's like 2 or 3 videos on that, the Green Rider with the 10 horsepower Tecumseh. It ate a lot of water. It damaged the cylinder. It damaged the valve. I replaced the valve from another motor I had, but it never ran properly, like to my liking. It had this weird little miss, and it was just weird. So I put a replacement carburetor, and that one also. This one here is a HIPAA, and it's the correct replacement for a 10 horsepower. I put a 5.5 Takumi horsepower carburetor on it. It's a smaller bore, so you get a better signal in the venturi of the carburetor because the venturi is smaller. So you get a better charge and better distribution. You don't make as much power, but that wasn't the problem, right? It ran so much better, and I think I have an episode on like when smaller carburetors work better. And in a lot of cases, like these carburetors are maybe too large for some of these engines. Now on the engine that's here that I'm playing with Mike's mini bike, this is the 5.5 horsepower Takumi with the electronic ignition. And it's a slightly newer motor. The other motor had some issues as well, and you'll see that eventually. And it just would not run, this thing here. I could not get it to consistently run because the carburetor is too big. So the signal isn't strong enough for a large bore carburetor. There's not enough suction, there's not enough venturi, so it won't pull the fuel properly. Once you get it running, it's a different story. Now the other problem I'm having also is that, again, this is not for this engine, and the throttle linkages are not set up right, so I'm not able to really control the RPMs properly, and that's another reason why I'm having a problem with it too. But I gotta find tomorrow, or Monday, I gotta find, see if I have another carburetor laying around that I can just throw on this engine. Because I'm going through my inventory to find what, I'd like to use a 5.5 horsepower Takumi on his mini bike. His mini bike is the new Yakutoi Chinese. You want to see the engine? It's like this little Yakutoi thing. I think I have it here. Look. Yeah, look, fellas. Look, it's this little Yakutoi Look at it. It's like, this is like your chainsaw engine, right? This little thing, right? This little Baja, 97cc China Cat, right? Cheezoid, little Janny. Hold on, let me put it down. So, you know, I love fooling around. So, you know, 190cc is, I think the 5.5 is somewhere 180, 190 cc's. I don't know. Tecumsehs weren't rated in that. We used, you know, American measurements. The cc nonsense. Cubic inches, bro. That's where I come from. Big motors, like my 400 something cubic inch Pontiac. That was 6.7 liters when I was done with it, with a 60 over. Let's see. Let me catch up. EZB says, I couldn't find it. One a couple years back. And it says, cool, winter is coming. Shush! Don't even talk about that. I like summer. I don't want winter. So, I'm not done yet, right? Because winter is poverty. Right? Because there wasn't any snow last year, and I don't even have a single snowblower. I had to sell them for super cheap. But, you know, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I'm going to see if I can find a carburetor tomorrow. I'll probably wash that pressure washer a little bit just to get the gack off, run it a little bit longer, and then I'll pull the motor off, and like I said, I'll store it inside because it's a beautiful motor. So I'll take care of that, and when I get a chance, I'll take that chain mechanism off, that whole thing, as best I can, and that's why I want to clean the tines, because if I can lube them up with some penetrant and let it sit around for a little while and go walk over to it every now and then, by the time I'm ready to fool around, I'll go inside the chain case and see how bad the damage is. And it might be something I can fix because the frame is built really well. We have a really good motor for it. Physically, it's in good shape. It doesn't need paint. There's like no rust on it. So it could, and by the way, that newer one that I showed, that newer rototiller, that chain case is crimped together. So there's no going into one of those newer ones. If it breaks, you throw it out. At least this one's bolted together. Everything is bolted together. Everything is bigger. Everything is heavier. So we may be able to go in there and at least find out what's wrong with it, right? You know, why not? You know, I'm taking the motor off. That's half the battle. And if I can loosen up the tines and pull them out of my way, I won't have these tines to fight with. And then we can just take it out of that chassis and see what's in there. And if we can fix it, I'm going to fix it, because then I'll keep it and I'll use it and I'll sell the newer one. So that's my plan. It's not anytime soon, but it'll kick around, and maybe, you know, while we still have daylight towards the end of the day or on a weekend or something, before it starts to get dark at 4 o'clock again, you know, maybe I can throw an hour at it and noodle around with it and have some fun with it. Let's see, Casey, what's Casey saying? This is all right, Arch, gotta get the dogs out before fireworks show starts. More fireworks, nice. Yeah, I'm getting out of here too, fellas. I just want to say thank you for everybody for coming and listening to old Uncle Arch rant, right? You know, sometimes it's good. I'm just hoping to get the juices going, everybody, and checking out some of this cool old stuff, which, you know, obviously I really like, right? And hopefully you guys enjoy it too. And I will check out that video when I get a chance on the pressure washer. And well, eventually I make the rounds to everybody. Bleach, I'll check out your stuff too. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching this crazy live episode of Arch's Garage. I'll see you guys later. Good night, guys.